Hello everyone and welcome to StudyIQ. In this lecture, we will discuss the third chapter of the Economic Survey, Volume 1. The third chapter discusses about investment and saving slowdowns and recoveries. The chapter tries to make a cross-country analysis and tries to develop policy lessons for India. The third chapter begins with a quote which goes like this. Investment calls the tune and profits dance accordingly, which means that investment is very necessary in order to reap profits, or investment and profits have a direct relationship. Coming to the chapter, if we look at the trend of investment and saving slowdowns in India, in the mid-2000s, India has experienced a historic high levels of investment and savings. So that was the boom period for India, mid-2000s. And after this mid-2000s, it was followed by a decline. And this decline is still going on. Or we can say that the economy is experiencing a slowdown in terms of investment and savings even now. This chapter tries to make a cross-country experience analysis and also draw investment and saving slowdown patterns in order to find out how countries recovered from the slowdowns and make policy lessons for India. And main findings are that investment slowdowns have an impact on growth but not necessarily saving, which means that, as we said, slowdowns can be either investment or saving slowdowns, but investment slowdowns have more impact on the growth of the economy. So investment slowdowns needs to be rectified properly. And second finding is that recoveries from investment slowdown, especially balance sheet difficulties, tend to be very slow. So, investment slowdowns can be recovered slowly. This is a slow process, especially when it comes to balance sheet difficulties. So, in case of India, we are experiencing an investment slowdown because of the balance sheet deficiencies. So, what should be the solution for this? Urgent prioritization of investment revival. That is the only solution, which means investment needs to be boosted. So, revival of investment is very necessary in order to overcome this problem. As we said in the beginning, India was experiencing historic growth in terms of investment and savings in the mid-2000s. And after that, India is seeing a decline. If we look at the statistics, the ratio of gross fixed capital formation. Gross fixed capital formation means investment. So, the ratio of investment to GDP climbed from 26.5% in 2003 and it reached a peak of 36.6% in 2007. In 2007, this is mid-2000s. So, as we said, this was historic growth. Again, it slided back to 26.4% in 2017. If we look at the graph, it goes like this and comes back like this. Again, if we look at the ratio of domestic savings to GDP, it has again risen from 29.2% in 2003. In 2003, it was normal or less, and a peak of 38.3% in 2007. In 2007, it had a rise and again fallen back in the year 2016. So here also we will see the graph like this. This is the statistics, and the only country that displays a similar pattern to India over the same period is Brazil. We can say that Brazil and India, they experience a same pattern, which means with regard to growth as well as slowdown. So Brazil and India have the similar pattern. If we look at the sectors that are responsible for saving and investment, we can divide the sectors into three. One is private investment. Second one is household savings. And the third one is government savings. So coming to savings, there has been a slowdown or decrease in savings. And if we look at the pattern or analyze the sectors, we will see that the household savings has come down. Generally, households are the sector that contributes maximum to the savings. So, household savings came down and also public savings has come down. And this has resulted into a slowdown in savings. And again, if we look at this household savings in particular, what we will see is that the patterns of savings among the households has changed. The pattern has changed. Earlier, they used to save in terms of physical savings. But now households tend to save in financial assets. So investment or savings in the financial assets has increased and physical savings has come down. So this is the change that has happened to the pattern of savings with regard to the households. And what is the reason for this? Government policies are the reasons for this. Again, coming to public savings, we said that public savings has also declined. The pattern of public savings has changed now. So earlier it was in the form of currency and bank deposits. So the shift from currency and bank deposits to market instruments, that is a change with regard to public savings. Market instruments means shares and debentures. So now the savings are in the form of shares and debentures. Earlier it was in the form of currency and bank deposits. And one probable reason for this is that demonetization. So with demonetization, the pattern of public savings has changed. Now coming to 3.8. Here three terms are very important. First one is shortfall. Second term is slowdown year. And thirdly, slowdown episode. You need to clearly differentiate between these three terms. First of all, shortfall. Shortfall is defined as the difference between average of investment and saving in the slowdown year and subsequent 2 years and the average of previous 5 years. That means average of investment and saving in the slowdown year plus 2 years after the slowdown. So this minus the average of previous 5 years. So this is shortfall. This is defined as the shortfall. You only need to understand what is a shortfall. It is not necessary that you learn the definition. So you must have an understanding or you must be able to differentiate between these three terms. Now coming to slowdown year. Slowdown year is defined as one where the shortfall in that year exceeds a certain threshold. So there will be certain threshold or limit. If the shortfall exceeds that threshold, we call it as a slowdown year. And thirdly, coming to slowdown episode. If there are 2 or more consecutive slowdown years, we call them as slowdown episode. A few things you must remember here is that, first of all, investment episodes are more frequent than saving episodes. So investment slowdowns are more general or more frequent. Secondly, investment slowdowns are greater in magnitude. So if we compare the magnitude of investment slowdown and saving slowdown, investment slowdowns have greater magnitude. And third thing is that slowdowns are quite frequent. It appears even in success stories like China, Singapore, Mauritius, etc. So slowdown episodes are quite normal or frequent. The fourth thing we must remember is that only one country has not experienced slowdown since 1980s, that is Bangladesh. So this is the only country that has not experienced a shortfall or slowdown since 1980s. Another thing is that Asian countries have faced the largest number of slowdown episodes following 1997. So Asian countries have faced the largest number of slowdown episodes after 1997, and there has been large investment slowdowns in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Korea, etc. during this period, and that is why we call them as East Asian crisis. So East Asian crisis is associated with countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Korea, etc. Now coming to India's case of slowdowns. We can say that in the case of savings and investment slowdown, India has a special case. It is very special. Let us see why it is special. Until recently, we have not experienced any investment or saving slowdown. So investment and saving slowdowns started recently in India. When we say recently, two things we must remember here. First of all, we said that there was an East Asian crisis after 1997. So, during the East Asian crisis, many Asian countries were badly affected. So, during the East Asian crisis also, India did not experience an investment or saving slowdown. And secondly, we had our own 1991 balance of payment crisis, and this was a huge crisis for Indian economy. Even during the period of 1991 where we experienced a balance of payment crisis, we did not experience a investment or saving slowdown. So we have overcome all the situations, but recently India started experiencing a slowdown in terms of investment as well as in terms of savings. So, the current investment and savings slowdown is the first in the history of India. Coming to the investment slowdown. The investment slowdown started in 2012. So, as we said, there is a certain threshold or limit. So, in 2012, it was 2% threshold. And following years, 2013, it aggravated to 3%. Which means the slowdown has increased or magnitude has increased. Again, coming to 2014, it increased to 4%. So this started in 2012 and now it is 2018. So we can say that this has reached a 6-year duration now. Even though it has a 6-year duration, in case of India, the investment decline has been gradual. So it was not all on a sudden that the investment declined or investment slowdown happened. It was a gradual process and therefore the magnitude of this shortfall has been relatively less. Now coming to savings slowdown. It started in the year 2010 and it is still continuing. One speciality of the India's investment and savings slowdown is that it is lengthy as compared to other countries or other cases. This is a lengthy one. As we said, investment slowdown started in 2012. It has been 6 years. Savings slowdown started in 2010. It has been 8 years. So we can say that compared to other cases, this is lengthy. Now coming to the growth consequences. As we said, India is experiencing a saving as well as investment slowdown. So the question is, which one needs to be given importance? The investment slowdown or the saving slowdown? So reviving the investment slowdown means boosting investment in the form of policies like infrastructure push, reforms to facilitate the ease of doing business or Make in India program. Such things boost investment, or the country should give priority for boosting saving. That is a question here. But how to address this issue? The relative importance and urgency must be taken into consideration. Which one needs priority? Which one can revive the economy in the short term and in the long term? Accordingly, policies should be taken. We can say that in the case of India, what needs short term attention is investment slowdown. So, investment slowdown can necessarily boost growth in the economy and this requires prioritization in the short term at least. Now, let us analyze the investment slowdowns. As we have already discussed, the case of India is special. So, Indian example of the investment slowdowns has been special. We cannot draw patterns from that of other cases. First of all, it is unusual because it is fairly moderate in magnitude. What is the reason? We have said that the slowdown has been gradual and that is the reason the magnitude has been moderate. And second thing is, it is long in duration. We have seen that India has been experiencing an investment slowdown since 2012. So, it is lengthy. And thirdly, it started from a relatively high peak rate of 38% of GDP. So, we said that during the mid-2000s, India was experiencing a historic high investment and savings. So, this has led to higher GDP in the country. So, from this peak point, we have fallen down. So, these are the three specialities. And furthermore, if we say the nature of the Indian type of investment slowdowns is associated with balance sheet slowdown. So, balance sheet slowdowns takes time for recovery. The revival from the balance sheet related slowdown will be a slow process. What is meant by balance sheet related slowdown? Balance sheet related slowdown means that companies has to curtail their investment or reduce their investment because they have their finances stressed. So because of stressed finances, they will cut down the investment and this leads to slowdown in investment. This is a result of stressed finances in the companies. And what is the reason for this stressed finances? During the 2000s, we have seen that there has been a boom in the investment and also savings. So what has happened during this period? The investments they have undertaken, the companies undertook large investments or huge investments during this period. And those investments which were made during this period, they did not generate enough revenues. So this investments did not generate revenues or outcome, and because of that reason they were not able to pay off the debts. So debt repayment was a problem. So this has resulted to stressed finances in the companies. And because of this stressed finances, the investment in the companies or the investment done by the companies reduces, and this has essentially caused the investment related slowdown in our country. So that is why we call it as balance sheet related problem. So we can conclude that in case of India, it is balance sheet related slowdown, and also the investment fell by 8.5 percentage points, peak to over the 9 years. So it was in the peak and it has fallen. Two conclusions that we can make from the Indian experience is that, first of all, investment declines flowing from balance sheet problems are much more difficult to reverse, which means that in case of India, we have a balance sheet related investment slowdown, and reversing this issue would be very difficult. The revival process will take some time. And secondly, India's investment decline so far has been unusually large. So this is large in quantum also when compared to other cases. So these are the two conclusions. Now let us see what are the policy lessons for India. First of all, investment slowdowns are more detrimental to growth than saving slowdowns. This means that investment slowdowns affect the growth of the economy than saving slowdowns. So investment slowdowns have more impact on the economy than saving slowdowns. So what has to be done? Policy priorities over the short term must be given for reviving the investment. So short term priorities must be given for investment. And in case of saving slowdowns, what the government can do is to unearth black money, encourage the conversion of gold into financial savings, etc. This can be done, but the priority must be given for investment slowdowns. And one thing with regard to the saving slowdowns is that in case of India, the share of financial saving is already rising in aggregate household saving. We have seen that the household saving patterns. So household savings has been changed, or the pattern has changed from physical savings to financial savings, and the reason for that is demonetization. So there is no much cause of concern with regard to savings in the economy or saving slowdowns in the economy. Short-term priorities in any case must be given for investment slowdown, which has a larger impact on the economy. Now secondly, the India's investment slowdown has been much large. So this started in the year 2012 and it is still continuing. So we can say that the magnitude of the loss and impact on growth has been moderate because this was a gradual process, but though it started in 2012, it is lengthy slowdown. So we can say it is a lengthy slowdown. And thirdly, when we compare the Indian investment slowdown with that of other countries, it is a different case. And also it is difficult to reverse also. What is the reason for that? First of all, this has arisen due to balance sheet deficiencies. And secondly, it has been a lengthy slowdown. It started in 2012. And because of these two reasons, the revival would be difficult. And if we examine other countries' experiences, it shows that there has been an absence of automatic bounce back, which means that government should purposely take some action in order to bounce back or revive the economy back into normal. So one more thing is that the deeper the slowdown, the slower and shallower the recovery. So in case of India, the slowdown has been deep. So policy actions can only bounce back the economy or revive the economy. Automatic process has not happened with many of the cases. Now coming to what has the government done in order to address this issue, what policy actions were taken. First of all, the government has stepped up in public investment since 2015-16. So there has been an increase in the public investment in order to boost the investment in the economy. Since 2015-16, this is happening. And secondly, in order to resolve the TBS challenge, that is twin balance sheet challenge. Twin balance sheet challenge is associated with companies as well as financial institutions. So we have seen that in case of India, the investment slowdown is due to balance sheet problems. So in case of companies, this is due to stressed finances, or the companies were not able to repay the debt because the revenue was less. In mid-2000s, they had made huge investments, but they were not able to reap revenue out of it, and that is why they were not able to repay the debts also. This has led to the balance sheet difficulties in the companies, and in order to solve this, IBC has been developed. IBC means the Indian Bankruptcy Code. And thirdly, complementary measures has been taken from the side of government, like easing the cost of doing business, then creating a clear, transparent and stable tax like the GST, regulatory environment, etc. So these are the complementary measures taken by the government in order to boost the investment. This will not only boost the investment from within the country or domestic investment, but this can also attract foreign investment into the country. So this has been done by the part of the government. And in addition to this, what the government can further do, they can create a conducive environment for small and medium industries to prosper and invest. This will boost the private investment. In case of India, small and medium enterprises or industries play a major role in economic growth and development. So creating a conducive environment for them is very necessary. This can boost the private investment. Also, government should focus on investment incentivizing policies, and these policies must give priority to small business and also big business alike. So the government should not avoid or leave the small businesses. It should consider both small business and big business as well, and some incentives must be given for investment. With all these measures, the economy can come back to normal or revive the investment slowdown. You can find the PDF of this lecture in my Facebook page, and also the video will also be uploaded on the Facebook. Thank you.